Look, it is a personal failing of mine that I have been quiet about this issue for so long. I know this is a controversial topic, and I know that a lot of people are going to unsubscribe and cancel their Patreon, because frankly this is my most controversial take yet. But it's time somebody finally stood up and came out and said it. Single biome planets are fucking based. There, I said it. Single biome planets are cool and I like them. I like them in my art, I like them in my fiction, I like them in my world building. Am I aware they are unrealistic? Yes. Yes, I am. But you know what? So are fire mages. And they're also cool. Or lit, I suppose. Look, I am very aware that a realistic alien world would have various different biomes with different kinds of ecosystems, having strong variation depending on weather patterns that are formed by, land shapes, general geography, even mineral availability, temperature and climate, all that jazz. You know, like Earth. But this is fiction. It doesn't have to be real things. That's why it's fiction, so it's not real things. And they're not even that unrealistic, let's be honest. At least, some of them aren't. An ice world where it's just ice all over, well, we have several of those in our solar system. And if you move those to the right distance from the sun, bada boom, bada bing! Ocean world. No reason there needs to be any kind of land. Could be a few island chains, of course. Might be interesting to explore. Even a desert world is entirely plausible. But I want to be clear here that I'm not just defending the ones that could conceivably exist. I'm not just defending the ones that we can almost see with the naked eye. I am defending the forest moons and the bog worlds. Look, I'm very aware that you can't have a tropical rainforest that just goes from the equator to the northernmost northern bit or southernmost southern bit that should by all means be frozen, especially not if you don't have an ocean anywhere on the planet. It's just not gonna happen in the real universe. But here's the thing. It's cool. It's also very thematically efficient. In fiction, what you want to do is create a strong sense of place for every location that you go to. And to do that, you establish certain themes that you then proceed to explore. This makes planets distinct from each other in terms of both looks and feel. When you have realistic planets with various different biomes and climate zones and what have you, they all just sort of mush together ultimately. The only thing that separates one from the other is the fact that the characters experience travel time while moving in between these locations. They do not have, as the totality of the planet, a striking, distinct characteristic that sets them apart from all the other worlds that isn't something that only nerds understand or care about. Contrast this with a mountain world, which in itself makes no fucking sense. Or even better, a shadow world. Because yes, this is how far I'm going. This is how much I don't care about fucking realism in this. I want things that are defined by just an individual weather pattern. I want storm worlds, motherfucker. Because that is very effective at creating a strong sense of place and of size. So the distinct area isn't just a small, tiny fuck-off village with no significance. People don't remember the names of places, people remember things they associate with those places. A strong sense of place creates immersion. It allows viewers to immediately dig into their treasure trove of tropes and intuitive understandings about the world. It creates a more realistic experience for what they are seeing. When you say forest moon, people gain 1,000 times more information than if you list the precise atmospheric makeup and describe the landforms down to the atom scale. Which, not to mention, usually the kind of stories where single biome planets appear are the kind of stories where we do a lot of planet hopping, so we don't actually spend too much time on any individual given planet. And usually it tends to be very localized to a specific area of this single biome planet. So frankly, how do you know that the Ewoks of Endor in the north don't live in a much sparser, more wintry forest? Or the ones down south around the equator have to deal with tropical parasites or some shit? Never throughout all of Star Wars do we see Han Solo taking a shit. Yet somehow we do not assume that Han Solo doesn't shit. He's not a woman. We understand that Han Solo shitting is not relevant to the story or of immediate interest to the kind of plot you are trying to build, so they don't show it. So you're shown a specific place on a specific planet, and then extrapolating solely based on your bullshit availability heuristic, you go, yes, it must all be like this. Imagine spending 10 minutes on a boat in the Pacific Ocean and going, yes, all of the Earth planet is like this, just because they didn't show you Lapland. Not assuming that maybe there could be something different there, like, I don't know, the Grand Canyon. Also, for people complaining about the lack of species diversity that is evident, how do we know that Endor wasn't colonized by life itself relatively recently? Maybe just, a small handful of already complex developed life forms fell onto that planet at some point, for some reason, and, even though they've changed and filled a lot of environmental niches, it's still very obvious that they are related. They still look rather similar. This kind of bottlenecking is actually very common in speciation. And yes, the completely insane sci-fi worlds are also cool. Gas giants where you can just breathe and it somehow is 1G and there's giant whales flying around in the sky. Those are cool. Don't sell it as hard sci-fi, but do sell it to me. I want to see that shit. You have maybe a life form where the circumstances that you have made up to justify it are very clearly contrived in order to justify the existence of the cool life form. Yes, please. Yes, give it to me. Because here's the thing, right? If you think that something is unrealistic because it is unlikely, you are an idiot. People very rarely get rare diseases that end up killing them, so John Wick is unrealistic. It's very unrealistic that you would miss so many shots at such a distance and then also not pursue the person, so Inglourious Bastards is unrealistic. It's very unlikely that you would survive a fire like that, so V for Vendetta is unrealistic. It's actually very unlikely that you will get hit by lightning, or have quadruplets, or win the lottery, which is why none of these things ever happen to anyone, ever. Unlikely outcomes happen all the time, and if you run a system with unlikely outcomes often enough, eventually you're gonna have an unlikely outcome. That's the point where something interesting happens, and that's the point when you look at the thing to make a story out of it. If you can't suspend your disbelief for that, it's not because it's bad sci-fi, it's because you lack imagination. And I'm not saying that complex, realistic, many biomed and climated planets are not cool, because they are cool. Especially when you have a story with few planets, or maybe even just one planet, they can be very interesting because different locations on there can once again create a strong sense of place, the way that individual single biome planets can in larger scale stories. Which, incidentally, I'd love to see more sci-fi stories that are localized entirely to like one world, or even one region of one world. Because as much as I love planet hopping, simply because, I mean, it's planet hopping, I also really enjoy in-depth exploration of a single thing. You don't have to pick one and then sneer at the other. You're allowed to like both, or anything in between, or anything unrelated to that even. It's fiction. Anything goes. That's the nice thing about it. Nothing is forbidden because it's fiction. It isn't real. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share this very controversial take to your relevant communities, but do not spam them. Consider supporting me on Patreon or Subscribestar, buying some of my merchandise or my short story collection. And in that spirit, enjoy the kinds of stories that you like. And don't let other people tell you what you're allowed to like, because all of those people are wrong. And see you around, cunts.